Hello, everyone. My name is Katie Cleary. I am a program manager for Magic, and I am here um, literally just after the Musty Magic presentations with one of our lovely mentor-mentee pairs, Olivia and Pi-Chuan. I'm really excited to be chatting with you both to learn more about your project and your mentor-mentee partnership. Olivia, can you just introduce yourself really quickly?
Okay, my name is Olivia H. I'm a seventh grader at Rancho Middle School.
Great, thank you. And Peach Wine, can you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Pi-Chuan Chang. I've been a long time Magic mentor, and my day job is I'm a software engineer at Google.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you both so much. Olivia, why don't you start us off by just telling us a little bit about your project and why you chose that?
Well, first of all, for the Crashy Bird, my mentor
Mhm.
and I was going through some tutorials for the Finch, and we looked at some games, and we saw there's this Crashy Bird, and we just used the tutorial to code it, and we found out, this is actually pretty interesting.
Mhm.
So my mentor and I figured out what the code means. I I understand most of the code, but some of it she has to explain it to me.
Mhm.
And after that, I decided to make one of my projects, and I also made some adjustments to it, so it's not completely other people's work.
Mhm.
Like for example, at the start, when I first put the code in the tutorial, the score will always be zero because they didn't actually do anything about the score. So I added a score system. And I also adjusted the speed and made it slightly easier for the player because there are more holes for the bird to go through. And I chose it just because it's interesting. Like, to be honest, I'm not really a big fan of the Flappy Bird game because I always lose. But I
Oh,
feel
okay.
like this is easier.
Mhm.
And it's also interesting because the Finch robot, usually when people think of robot, they just think of like moving artificial intelligence. They don't really think of games, but they can actually do it.
Mhm.
And it's surprising, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's so interesting that you say that because I think a lot of people have a perceptions going into things of how they think it'll start and then it ends up being another thing. So did you have any perceptions of maybe what you thought this project or this program would be, and then as you were going through, did your perceptions change at all?
Well, first of all, when I was starting doing the game tutorial, I was just surprised because it's a robot. I'm not sure how it can show a game, how it can play it.
Mm-hmm.
But with the buttons on the microbit, it actually is really interesting. Like it works as well as just a game like that in Scratch. It has scores, it has a screen, you can move it upside down.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, because usually, yeah, like I said before, robots, people think of artificial intelligence, they think of robots moving around.
Mm-hmm.
But games, like usually think of games, doesn't think of robot, doesn't connect to robot.
Mm-hmm.
It's something interesting to me.
Yeah, no, it's definitely very interesting, and I'm glad that that one of the areas that you focused on. Another one of your projects was um, a fantasy book website. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, after I'm done with the HTML and JavaScript Khan Academy unit, I was thinking about what kind of project I should do about it.
Mm-hmm.
I to I wanted to make a web page before, but I don't know how to incorporate any JavaScript into it because a web page. I was thinking about writing just an analysis article about my favorite book characters,
Mm-hmm.
but there won't be any JavaScript to it. So my mentor suggested that I can combine these two to make that to a recommendation list. And then I thought about all those different genre of fantasy. Fantasy is a pretty wide range kind of books. Like they're actually dystopian, they're sci-fi, they're all technically fantasy books, but they're
Mm-hmm.
still different. So I thought about just labeling them into different groups. And there's also something I don't feel like people are reading enough. When people
Mm-hmm.
think of books, they think of nonfiction, boring books about animals and stuff. Not really boring, but boring to some people. They don't really think of like all those adventure books where authors spend so much time thinking about a new universe. And it's my favorite kind of books because it just takes me to a whole new world. And
Mm.
whenever I talk about books with my friend, they're like, "Oh, it's boring," and they don't understand how I can love them so much. So I feel like this website can help people understand more about books, especially good books like this. All those books are recommendations from me. I really, really love them.
Mhm.
So, and
Yeah.
I really feel like people should be reading more.
Well, I'm an avid reader, so I definitely agree. I don't know why people think books are so boring, so I'm very excited that you've created this website. And so I did ask this during the presentation, but I love for those who maybe didn't see it. What book would you recommend that you think everyone should add to their to be read list?
There's a lot, but like I said in the meeting, it's definitely Percy Jackson and Olympians. Percy
Mhm.
Jackson and Olympians is like a 5 book series, but but after that there's another book series and another. So technically it has 3 book series, 5 books each. But most people just call them Percy Jackson Olympians because that's the name for the first series. And it's
Mhm.
also the most popular one, like the original. And I love it because it was the book that got me into a fantasy world. That's technically half true. I read Harry Potter first. I really like it. But for Harry Potter, I didn't try to explore other books. I just
Mhm.
keep reading Harry Potter and keep reading until I can memorize every quote. But then
Mhm.
my dad told me about Percy Jackson. He showed me the movie first, A Bad Decision, because the movie messed up everything. It's one of the book series where the movie is just famously bad.
Mhm.
So
Well,
I
good to
read the books.
read the book before I watch the movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I made that mistake with Percy Jackson and Harry Potter.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm a fan of Harry Potter as well. So, thank you for your suggestion. I'll have to let you know how reading all the different series goes. So, Pi-Chuan, can you just tell us a little bit about what it was like to work with Olivia this school year?
Yeah, I think I mentioned this in my intro as well. Like, I was very impressed that Olivia is interested in different types of project, and actually kind of usually in the past when I mentor other mentees, people would have different interests, but then usually during the mentorship we would kind of choose a direction and kind of focus on one, which makes sense. Um, which I thought was how it was going to go with Olivia as well. But then she actually was able to like work on this for a bit and would suggest like, why don't we look at the other one? And since she suggested it, I was like, yeah, actually that makes sense. And then over time I noticed that she actually was able to make progress on both. Because one of the patterns is sometimes people got frustrated with one thing and switched to another one and got frustrated and come back, right? But she actually wasn't like that. She actually was making progress on both of them, and
Mhm.
sometimes get stuck. But like the reason why she switched wasn't because she was stuck, right? Actually, often it's because she made good progress on one thing and she wanted to actually learn about the other thing. So I find that quite impressive and quite different from the other mentees. And I think one thing that really helped is that she's very organized. Like she like fill out like the spreadsheet or like the homework and actually like really stick to like the thing that she needs to do, and every meeting she will report back on what she learned and what she's able to do or what she's stuck on. So I feel like, yeah, really impressive. I think she's just very curious and then very well organized as well.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for sharing all that. It sounds like it was a wonderful pairing. Olivia, what are some things that you learned from Pi-Chuan? Not just necessarily having to do with, the building of your projects, but maybe, advice she gave about organization or tips and tricks for life.
Well, she actually inspired me because she's really smart and like I said before, she's from Stanford, and Stanford is pretty much some sort of high impossible college for me, since it's just some sort of ideal college.
Hmm.
One that's really near my house, the one that's also super hard to get into. And she teaches that like it's possible. Like she was from Stanford, she's hardworking, she works at Google, but then she's also a nice person. Like it doesn't, when I have my mentorship with her, feels like someone from like Stanford and Google isn't that far away, isn't that difficult, I guess. It feels more real. And she also let me visit Google, and I really like that because I wanted to work at Google. I know it pays well, and I also want to be a software engineer there. My dad is a software engineer. I want to follow his footsteps.
Mhm.
So like that she introduced me to the world of STEM. She didn't just teach me about stuff about technology. She teaches me about some jobs, like some recommendations, all those different stuff that I wouldn't have learned from Google, just web searches and stuff, and some of her personal experiences. And also she also introduced me to different web pages, like for example, ChatGPT. I've never heard of it. And she did warn me that I shouldn't trust everything from it because it's technically still not a real person in my life. But I've never heard of it before, and it's also something new that she told me about it.
Well,
She teaches me a lot of stuff.
Well, good. I'm sorry I cut you off there, but it sounds like the two of you really enjoyed working together and learned quite a bit from each other. And, Olivia, you touched on that having a mentor makes, the goals that you have seem real and achievable and, possible, and so along those lines, think back to the beginning of this school year, and how you felt, applying for the magic program, for girls who are interested in joining the program next year, years after. What could you tell them? Because now they're going to be watching your presentation and they're going to see you and they're going to say, it's possible, like me being in this program, it's possible. So what are some encouraging words that you may have for them?
Well, I wanted to tell them that it's possible. It
Mhm.
seems difficult at first, but it feels like schoolwork now, I guess. Like at first I'll think, oh no, I forgot the magic homework, and I'll rush to finish it. But right now it feels like a part of me, like during the weekdays or sometimes the weekend, I'll just like, hey, I should check the magic homework, I should work on it. It feels like part of a routine now.
Yeah.
And some of the homework, it may seem hard, but your mentor is always there to help you. Like they're just they're there to help you. And every time I got stuck on a problem, my mentor helped me. And every part of it, it feels realistic. Achieve. I also encourage them to definitely join this organization because I learned a lot from it. Like this 1 year, I learned more about STEM in this 1 year than than my elementary school years.
Wonderful. I don't think we need more of an endorsement than that. That's wonderful, and I've been so impressed with every mentee's presentation this school year. And, Olivia, again, we're so proud of the work that you've put in. Pi-Chuan spoke to your ability to work on multiple projects and simultaneously, not just like, oh, let me forget about this one for a week or two and then go back, but you were able to do it simultaneously. And these are all skills that you'll carry on into high school and beyond. And so I just, can't commend you enough for the work that you've put in. And thank you again for not only working in the program this year, but just the wonderful presentation that you've given and taking the time to speak with me this evening.
And I also wanted to thank all those other people who are in magic because this organization helped me a lot. It teaches me a lot of stuff, and it also fills some empty times. Like when I'm bored, I can work on this. It's something that keeps me busy.
We love to hear. So thank you.